Hey guys, welcome to the Curiosity Channel. Time marches on and mankind continues to take dominion over the earth, but with that power comes responsibility. We're long since aware that our actions will affect the environment and the ecosystems that live in them, and of our responsibility to the animals that live in these ecosystems. But now that we've come so far, it really makes you wonder, what was the first endangered species? In our modern world of climate change, deforestation, nuclear fallout, and the extinction of various species of insects, it can be very difficult for us to imagine a world where we're blissfully unaware of the negative effects our actions can have on the natural world around us. While industrialization brings us great benefits of wealth and luxury here in first world countries, it can still be all too easy for us to ignore the consequences of one-sided cost-benefit analysis. The story of plastic bags creates a handy summary of the issue. For decades, shoppers had been bringing home their groceries or products in paper bags or personal sacks brought to the store. But as the 20th century progressed and industrially produced materials became lighter, stronger, and cheaper, the obvious choice was to switch to plastic bags. The first store to adopt these new bags was Kroger in 1982, followed shortly by Safeway. Soon enough, the plastic bag became ubiquitous in the retail world. Of course, from a modern perspective, we can easily see the problems of handing out parcels to people that take centuries to break down naturally without having any disposal or recycle methods put in place. And our environment and our oceans are paying the price. 31 years after the adoption of plastic bags in 2013, Dr. Elena Choi published the results of her study on the waters of the San Francisco Bay. She found disturbing amounts of microplastic not only in the water, but in the bodies of fish as deep as 1,200 feet under the surface. To learn more about Elena Choi's study and the implications of that, I've got a link to the study in the description down below. So, where does this leave us? In our modern world, we can easily become disheartened, feeling as if we have centuries of abuse and neglect to rectify without any precedent or previous help. Well, lucky for us, scientists and activists have been advocating for a more cautious approach to industrialization and innovation for decades. While their research often goes less heated than it ought to be, it still is encouraging to know that you won't be fighting alone. Now, if you speak English, you may have noticed that I am an American, so our discussion today will be focused primarily on American conservation efforts. If there's some significant difference in your country, let me know in the comments section down below and we can both learn something today. Now, here in America, a great deal of our conservation efforts were either started or encouraged by President Theodore Roosevelt, who founded the National Park System and was a strong advocate for protecting the natural world around us. But the first major victory for conservation is what we're going to be talking about today, the Endangered Species Act. With how slow change can be sometimes, it'll come as no great surprise that there was no single first endangered animal. In fact, prompted by the extinction of the passenger pigeon in 1914 and a record low number of whooping cranes, a total of 21 in the whole country, in 1944, Congress finally took action. The first Endangered Species Preservation Act, signed into law in 1966, granted power to the Department of the Interior to designate animals as endangered and afforded them with $15 million a year to budget for purchasing and maintaining habitats for these endangered creatures. The next year, in 1967, the first list of endangered species was finalized. It included 14 mammals, 36 birds, 6 reptiles and amphibians, and 22 fish. In alphabetical order, they are Achiapolau, Aleutian Canada goose, American alligator, American ivory-billed woodpecker, Apache trout, Atwater's greater prairie chicken, Bachman's warbler, bald eagle, Big Bend gambusia, black-footed ferret, black toad or Inyo County toad, blue pike, blunt-nosed leopard lizard, California condor, Cape sable sparrow, now referred to as the Cape Sable seaside sparrow, Clear Creek gambusia, Colorado pike minnow, Colombian white-tailed deer, Comanche Springs pupfish, crested honey creeper, Kuiui, Delmarva Peninsula fox squirrel, desert dace, devil's hole pupfish, dusky seaside sparrow, Eskimo curlew, Everglades snail kite, Florida manatee, Florida panther, Gila top minnow, Gila trout, gray wolf, greenback cutthroat trout, grizzly bear, Hawaiian common gallinule, Hawaiian crow, Hawaiian dark-rumped petrel, Hawaiian duck, Hawaiian goose, Hawaiian hawk, humpback chub, Indiana bat, Kauai akialoa, Kauai nukupu'u, Kauai or u-a, key deer, Kirtland's warbler, Laysan duck, Laysan finchbill, now the Laysan finch, little Colorado spindace, longjaw cisco, Maryland darter, masked bobwhite, Maui parrotbill, Mexican duck, Moapa dace, Montana west slope cutthroat trout, Nihoa finch, Nihoa millerbird, o'u, Owen's pupfish, pa rump poolfish, Paiute cutthroat trout, Palila, Puerto Rican parrot, red wolf, San Francisco garter snake, San Joaquin kitfox, Santa Cruz long-toed salamander, small Kauai thrush, or Puahiohi, Sonoran pronghorn, Texas blind salamander, Toole white-fronted goose, whooping crane, and Yuma clapper rail. This was a huge step in the right direction, but researchers on the issue noted that the effects were far less than desired. In 1969, Congress passed the Endangered Species Conservation Act, banning importation and sale of protected animals outside the U.S. and banning interstate trade of the same. These reforms helped to slow the decline of the species, but the results were still inadequate. At President Nixon's encouragement in 1973, Congress signed the Endangered Species Preservation Act into law on December 28th. This act brings us into the modern era of environmental preservation. A few adjustments and changes were added later down the line, but it still acts as the foundation for contemporary conservation efforts, and is still considered by some to be the Magna Carta of conservation. The major effects and clauses of the act defined endangered and threatened, made plants and all invertebrates eligible for protection, applied broad take prohibitions to all endangered species, and allowed these prohibitions to affect threatened species by special regulation, required federal agencies to use their authorities to conserve listed species and consult on may-affect actions, prohibited federal agencies from authorizing, funding, or carrying out any actions that would jeopardize a listed species or modify or endanger its critical habitat, made matching funds available to states with cooperative agreements, provided funding authority for land acquisition for foreign species, and implemented cities protection in the United States. If you have any questions about any of those or specific applications, there's a link in the description below so you can get a full discussion on the whole act. So while there was no single definitive first endangered species, if you want to pin it on one of them, it would be the whooping crane, since the whooping crane was in trouble and was really what prompted getting the ball rolling on listing all of the other endangered species that came in at the same time, that class of 1966 as they call it. Today, conservation efforts are continuing to save many species from extinction, with 54 species being recovered and delisted, and 94% of the remaining species on their way back to recovery. In contrast, only 11 species have been lost after being added to the list of endangered species. However, this is a relatively small proportion of species saved to species still recovering. The current dialogue on the issue focuses on what we can do to ensure protection for these species without trampling on the freedoms of their neighboring humans. What do you think? Let's start a discussion in the comments section below. Who knows? Maybe we'll end up drafting a proposal for Congress to review. In the meantime, get out there, save the world, and stay curious, my friends. Hey guys, hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button down below. Let me know I'm doing something right. If you'd like to keep up with the latest from the Curiosity channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That'll keep you notified every time there's an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.